Come on now, fellas! We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go!
Good Thursday afternoon. Welcome in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yow. He's Mo Patton, and we are happy to be here with you. Or, well, I say we. I guess we're happy. Are we? I am.
Well,
I don't want to speak for you.
Thank you for at least leaving it open to conjecture. Yes, we're happy.
Okay.
If you're happy, then we're happy. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But thanks, because as we were told earlier this week, you know what happens when you assume.
That's right. You got to be careful assuming things around
Yeah, David
here.
Ubben was the one pointing that out. Yeah. Don't assume.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Thursday, so
Yeah,
I guess most people are almost happy anyway.
Well, you don't know what kind of day I had before I got here.
No
though.
idea.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, we hope that you guys are happy to be with us, or as happy as we are to have you. It's a really interesting show today. We've got we go from preps to pros, which is always fun when we get a chance to do that, as we typically do on Thursdays when we have Coach's Corner. But we'll talk a little bit of softball with Green Hills State Championship winning coach Savannah Sanders. She'll join us at 2:20, so stick around for that. Also, little high school news, high school sports news. We'll save that for the end of the show, so make sure you stick around to hear what's going on in and around high school sports in Middle Tennessee. Also, Braves, college sports, and more. We'll also talk to Caleb JARREAU of the Daily Beacon at University of Tennessee. He'll tell us about what's going on in the world of Vols baseball as they travel to Hattiesburg. Have you ever been to Hattiesburg?
I've been through Hattiesburg. I've not been to Hattiesburg. And actually, I think I'll be going through Hattiesburg again here in a couple of weeks.
You will, in fact. Are you going to Biloxi? Is that where you end up?
Gulfport.
Okay, you're going to Gulfport. Well, that's a good one. That's a good one, too.
Yeah. But I don't think Hattiesburg is as bad a town as UT fans have made it sound on Twitter over the last few days.
I think it's relative.
And I don't think it's the town. I think it's the situation that they're upset with. And Hattiesburg is just the whipping boy, as it were. I think they're going to have a pretty good time when they get down there, to be honest.
Hattiesburg is a nice place. I mean, as a child with my grandfather, like I said earlier this week, and nobody else caught this reference or knew what I was talking about.
I did.
Ferris Brothers is a fishing tackle wholesaler, and my granddad was he was in the fishing tackle business, and we spent some time down there at shows. They have the shows for all of the dealers that come in and that sort of thing. So spent some time there, had a lot of fun. Great little town, course, they don't have an Applebee's anymore, apparently. It's like, what kind of town can you be if your Applebee's closes? Well, you know what, Tennessee? Everything on your strip has closed, including the original Ruby Tuesday, so shut up.
Well, including the Copper Cellar
Which
earlier this week.
Just sold.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think I would get
Calm
too down on them over losing an Applebee's.
It's like, how bad does it have to be if you lose Applebee's?
I mean, how torn up really are you?
I mean, if you can't get a Bourbon Street steak and an Oreo shake, I don't really know if you can even call yourself a town.
Franklin doesn't have an Applebee's.
Franklin does not have an Applebee's. I think that is the most interesting thing about Franklin, by the way.
No, I think the most interesting thing about Franklin is they don't have a Dairy Queen.
Yeah, but they have a Culver's, which is better, in my opinion, ice cream-wise. Definitely burger-wise.
It's better, but it's also more expensive, bro.
It is a little more expensive.
So, yeah. I think that's the problem with Franklin. As a native, I can say this. I think there are certain things that Franklin thinks it's above in terms of food options.
And dipped cones are one of those.
Apparently.
And that's ridiculous because dipped cones are for everyone.
Well, I mean,
no matter your economic status.
hot fudge cakes.
Are you kidding me? What are we missing out on here,
Oh, man.
folks?
Yeah. So
Calm down. Listen. Anyway, we'll talk to Caleb Drow about where he's going to eat in Hattiesburg.
or where he's not going to eat,
He's
clearly.
definitely not going to eat at Applebee's. Yeah. Oh, man, we'll get to that as well. We've got a lot to get to. It's going to be a great show. Hope that you guys will stick around for the duration. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into anything else, Mo, let's get yesterday's results and today's schedule, and we'll do that on the Rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Major League Baseball action from Hump Day. It was the Angels with a 6-2 win over the Cubs. The Cardinals and the Rangers played a thriller. 1-0 St. Louis, the final there. Milwaukee 10-2 over Baltimore. It was the Reds continuing to give Tommy Bryan's favorite team issues, downing the Dodgers 8-6. Toronto with a 3-2 win over Houston. The Padres 10, the Mariners 3, and as Chris alluded to earlier, the Braves clinched their series at Truist Field against the Mets with a 7-5 victory. They'll be going for the sweep later tonight. Also in minor league baseball, doubleheader action down in Jacksonville. It was the Jumbo Shrimp with a 4-1 win over the Sounds. The Sounds win the nightcap 11-4.
So get this. 2
home runs out of recently called up Noah Chapman, I think, and Robert Gasser with the complete game victory.
Sounds 11-4 win was third verse, same as the first, because they won the first game of that series 11-4. So when I saw it, I was like, copy, paste. Didn't even have to type it out.
Wow.
Women's College World Series action last night. Oklahoma with a dominant performance. 5-0 in the win there. They lead the series 1-0. Florida State going to have to look a lot better tonight if they're going to prove me right. I don't think the Nuggets won
that score is right.
1,009, but they did score 109 points last night to the Heat's 94 in the NBA Finals. They take a 2-1 lead in that series. And in WNBA action, it was the Wings of Dallas, 84, and the Phoenix Mercury, 79. The other game last night was postponed due to air quality issues, along with a lot of things. Tonight in summer baseball, the Ardmore game got postponed, and now they're playing Loretto tonight instead. So
that wasn't air quality, was it?
I don't think it was air quality, but Lawrence County Jaybirds doubleheader tonight at 5 o'clock against Loretto, whatever they are.
Major League Baseball today, the Dodgers getting right up at Great American Ballpark with a 6-0 lead over Cincinnati going into the top of the ninth. 1:10 start for Baltimore at Milwaukee. No score to this point, I don't guess. Tonight,
Baltimore and Milwaukee, it's 3-0 Milwaukee in the top of the fourth.
Not sure that'll last the way Baltimore's playing these days, but we'll see. Houston at Toronto, 6:07 start. At 6:20, the Braves go for the sweep against the Mets at Truist Field. 8:38, Cubs at Angels. Minor League Baseball, 6:05 Sounds and Jumbo Shrimp continue their series. Game 2 out at Hall of Fame Stadium in Oklahoma City as the Seminoles try to get off the mat against the Red Hot Sooners.
Yeah, I'd say they're
52
red hot,
straight.
52 in a row.
That's pretty warm. 6:30, you can see it on ESPN. WNBA action. Las Vegas is at Connecticut. Air allowing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if Connecticut's an issue or not.
Well, I guess Connecticut. Well, no, Connecticut is south of the wildfires, so who knows? Check your local listing. 6 o'clock on Prime is supposed to be the tip-off for that one. Game 3 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Vegas at Florida, 7 o'clock puck drop on TNT. And seeing nothing below that, that is your rundown.
You got to make sure these days. All right. Top story today comes from the world of college sports as the Big 12 announced earlier today that it will play games in Mexico. Big 12 Mexico, they call it.
Now, I saw something on Twitter on this. I'm just now clicking on this link that you put on the run of show. Big 12 Mexico. The conference's first international extension that will see Big 12 men's and women's basketball, women's soccer, and baseball games held in Mexico. The first contest will be a men's and women's basketball matchup between Kansas and Houston at Arena CDMX in Mexico City in December of 2024. So who's giving up that home game?
That's a good question.
Following the launch of Big 12 basketball in Mexico, Big 12 women's soccer and baseball will participate in exhibitions against clubs from the region. Additionally, the Big 12 will explore establishing a football bowl game in Monterrey starting in 2026 would be the first bowl game ever held in Mexico.
Yeah, because
I'm sure you read this, and I'm sure I'm stealing your thunder, but
No.
I've got to. Mexico is a natural extension to the Big 12 footprint, and I'm thrilled to introduce Big 12 Mexico as the conference's first ever international presence, said Commissioner Brett Yormark. Through Big 12 Mexico, our student athletes will have the opportunity to compete in an international setting, and our conference will have the chance to showcase our brand across Mexico. What makes Mexico a natural extension to the Big 12 footprint? Explain this to me like I'm a fifth grader.
it's a pretty good question. It's right out of Iowa, Iowa,
Yeah.
Mexico.
Right
What's
there.
the difference?
Right there.
Speaking of Big 12, and it's a good question. Maybe we can ask our next guest if she feels like Mexico is an extension of the Big 12 footprint. Just it's kind of the same thing. Iowa, Mexico
they
City.
didn't mention softball, but she might have some insight. maybe.
I understand
Maybe
that
Iowa
it's south
State
of,
has a Mexican fan base. I don't know.
I know that football American football was pretty popular there when the NFL played their game there. It was
Yeah,
obviously
they
huge,
want to get
but
back
that's
as
the
soon as that
NFL.
stadium is done. But that is the NFL.
NFL.
It's not the Big 12.
It's not Kansas and Houston football. If you're going to play a game in Mexico City, it better be
Texas Tech and
okay, because that's a huge draw. This is what I'm saying.
Well, it's Lubbock. Geographically speaking, I know nobody cares about geographics in college sports anymore, but
who needs geographics?
yeah, pish posh. But it's the closest. This is a try hard.
This is
thing.
We need to do something to make ourselves more marketable.
We need to do something to keep ourselves in the public eye, to keep people talking about us with everything else that's going on with the Big 12 on life support, Probably.
Are they online? I don't know. I think they're certainly more viable than the other conference we're fixing to talk about.
I think.
And basketball-wise, they're still pretty big.
Well, as long as they can hang on to Kansas
And Houston, now that they've got Houston.
But
And they're about to get Arizona, probably.
Nobody's really talking about the Big 12, though.
Well, the Big 12 has kind of done what it's supposed to do at this point. They've expanded to what they're going to do. Now, this is a marketing ploy. Don't get me wrong. This is marketing.
Identity crisis.
It is a little bit of an identity crisis because they don't know if they want to be like the Big East or if they want to be AAC. Because the AAC was really trying to be a football conference, even though they had Memphis, Cincinnati, UCF. Those are basketball schools. Well, not necessarily.
Well, Memphis and Cincinnati.
I'm sorry, Memphis, Cincinnati, and Houston. I don't know why I got UCF out of there. But those three schools were basketball schools. The AAC messed up with their identity, trying to be football instead of just playing basketball like they should have. And that's neither here nor there.
5 current and future Big 12 conference campuses, Baylor, Houston, Texas Christian, Texas, and Texas Tech, are located less than 400 miles away from Mexico, while the University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State have campus extensions in Mexico.
Okay.
Baylor, Houston,
why do we
TCU,
care?
Texas, and Texas Tech are located less than 400 miles away from Mexico.
Read the next part of that sentence.
While the University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Everybody needs a proofreader, huh? Well, it says current. Oklahoma State. I mean, the University of Oklahoma is currently in the Big 12. And so is Texas.
No,
they are currently in the Big 12.
No, I understand that, but they won't be in 2024 when this happens.
5 current.
I understand,
and
but
future.
but again, this is marketing, right? This is how many team names can we get in here?
And this is an identity crisis.
This is hilarious.
Yes, it is.
This is hilarious. This is going to be an epic failure.
Well, I mean, will it though?
Long term, it will. In the first year, maybe not.
If fans come to the events.
Yeah, but look, this is all about TV. They're hoping that this is an event for television. They don't care if fans come or not.
Yeah, as long as fans tune in, they don't care.
As long as people are watching on television, they couldn't care less. It's like the USFL.
Yeah.
They don't care if there's 10,000 fans there or 40,000. As long as there are, 3 million watching on television, that's what they care about.
Well, and what makes you more likely to watch Kansas and Houston in Mexico City on TV than Kansas and Houston in either Lawrence or in Houston?
Absolutely nothing. That is the problem.
And you're going to watch that basketball game if it's in
no matter what.
Anchorage, Alaska.
Exactly. So that's how they draw you in, right? But here's the thing.
Wow.
I mean, because you're going to watch it, and then they say, well, this is working because 5 million people watched it. Well, yeah, 5 million people would have watched it if they were in Anchorage.
Yeah.
Or on a battleship or whatever. I mean,
or in Allen Fieldhouse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway.
That's funny.
Before we get out of here, just want to mention that the Pac-12.
Speaking of identity crisis.
Reportedly, the
allegedly
folks have verbally agreed to a grant of rights deal with someone. That's not been reported with whom at this point. But there's a verbal agreement out there for a grant of rights deal for the Pac-12. Yesterday on Feinbaum, the University of Arizona's athletics director said he was unaware of any deal, had not been presented any deal, has no idea what folks are talking about. Now, I don't know if that's a lie. Certainly could have been. But
could have been a lie, you mean?
He could have been lying. He could have just been saying.
He could have also been telling the truth.
He could have also been
given Arizona's
exactly
status in the Pac-12.
Arizona even in the Pac-12 anymore? We don't know at this point. So there's a lot to go that goes on there. I'll be curious to see how this ends up. Mm-hmm. But boy, that was a pretty big shot to the Pac-12 yesterday when Arizona's AD goes on a national televised.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And says, what? News to me. So
big if true.
Big, comma, if true. So there you go. The Pac-12 is a mess. They're an even bigger mess than the Big 12 at this point. So who knows? It's all going to come out and end up, pretty interesting. But anyway. And look, the Big 12 and the Pac-12 are simply fighting over being bronze. They're simply fighting over a bronze medal at this point. That's the facts. They're not the SEC. They're certainly not the Big Ten, who Brett McMurphy says, sources say Michigan's going to play at USC, Ohio State's going to be at UCLA, UCLA is going to play at Michigan, Nebraska at UCLA, Iowa at Ohio State, which... okay, who cares? But USC at Penn State, all of those are going to happen in the same year. That's massive.
I think we asked this question before, and it certainly bears asking again and again and again until we get an answer. What happens to the Rose Bowl?
The Rose Bowl's in trouble. I think what's going to happen to the Rose Bowl, and this is just my personal opinion,
it's as good as anything else we got.
I think the Rose Bowl is going to be a permanent semifinal on January 1st when we go to the 12-team playoff. And we'll be in, obviously, the rotation for the national championship. They're just going to be a permanent semifinal on the first.
That would make sense because, I mean, the Pac-12 Big Ten tie-in doesn't really work with USC and UCLA.
Correct.
No longer being part of the Pac-12.
Doesn't make sense. So we'll continue that discussion throughout the summer, I'm sure.
Without question.
But now we go to our first break of the day, Coach's Corner. Coming up, Savannah Sanders of Green Hills Softball talking about her team's state championship. Stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be back to the Lee Company studio right after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris, Yow, and Mo Patton here with you on this Thursday, and we are glad to have you guys with us. Looking forward to a fantastic rest of the show, and we'll start by going to Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe out in Chapel Hill. If you've not been, make sure to make your way out to From the Heart and go see Renee and the fine folks at From the Heart Cafe. Maybe you're headed out to Henry Horton State Park or the golf course or anywhere else in the general vicinity of Chapel Hill. And if you are, she will make sure that you are fed and happy, whether it be breakfast, lunch, or catering. You can also order catering. So make sure to do that and order online if that's your jam. So thanks to Renee and the fine folks again at From the Heart Cafe for sponsoring Coach's Corner. And on Coach's Corner this week, we go to Wilson County, where former Iowa State standout pitcher and perhaps the holder of the greatest Twitter handle we've ever had on this show, Savannah Sanders. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I knew one day that high school Twitter handle was going to come back and get it.
It's phenomenal.
You cannot leave the folks hanging on that, though. If you're just listening and you can't actually see us, Savannah is at Swaggin, no G, Swaggin Sanders.
No G.
Love it, love it, Coach. Appreciate you taking some time with us. And if it was a high school handle, it certainly continues
Still
to
phenomenal.
apply. The Lady Hawks finishing up 44-2, taking a 40-game winning streak into next season, following their walk-off win over Daniel Boone in the Class 4A state championship game. Coach, again, congratulations. Heck of a season, 44-2 on the year. Third-year program, is that right?
Yeah, third-year program, third-year school. So we
Yeah.
started our first year was kind of in the middle of that COVID year. So kind of interesting. We got our feet on the ground a little bit in an odd year. And then last year we were able to kind of see what a true season would look like and then roll into this year in our third year and kind of explode onto the scene a little bit.
Announce
That's one
their
way to
presence
put it. With authority. Yes, yes. Bringing the heat. Coach, when did you feel like this team had a state championship feel to it, maybe?
I knew we were going to be good whenever we were our first year, and we had, I think it was 7 freshmen starting that year at certain points. So I knew we were going to be pretty good when we got older, but I didn't know necessarily how far that could take us. I knew that we had a lot of talent, and we had to mature a little bit and kind of take some hits that first year. But I think that when we started realizing like we really had something special in front of us was probably in the fall this year when we got in the weight room. They were a different beast. And it really reminded me of, I've seen high school kids lift and I've been a part of a college team lift, and they didn't lift like high school kids. They really cared about their craft and they really cared about getting better and taking all aspects of it. So when they got in that weight room and I never really had to say anything to them, like, hey, we need to get on it or we need to do a little bit better on this job. I knew that they had a different initiative about them. And then we came out in our preseason tournaments and we played some tough teams. We played Eagleville and that over at Stewart's Creek. And we kind of saw what we would look like versus competition. And I still knew we'd be good, but I didn't think state championship good yet. But when we hit about mid-season and we had won, I think it was 3 tournaments at that point, I knew that we had what it could take. It was just, could we keep it going? And what I think the biggest question became was the streak, and people started talking about it a little bit more. We didn't talk about it a ton, but it was out there and it was looming, and I didn't know if a loss did come, how we would respond to that. And so I think that was kind of the only guess in the air was what it would look like if it did happen.
Well, and
Hard to know if you don't.
you figured the best way to deal with that was just
Just
not
don't
lose,
lose.
right?
So the kids kind of I mean, we never talked about it with the coaches. I think the kids knew what was going on, and obviously people around us knew, but it wasn't something that we were like, we've got to hold on to it. So having those losses early in the year, I think helped us because we weren't chasing perfection. We were chasing greatness, and that was a lot better than chasing perfection for us. So we had that loss to Oakland, and we had a heartbreaker loss to Gibbs, and I think it maybe humbled us a little bit at the beginning and then let us know that there's still work to do.
Clearly you did it. You mentioned those freshmen in your first year. Those freshmen are now juniors, and 4 of them are college commits. Cadence Jarrett is headed to Trevecca. Emily LeGrand's going to James Madison, and college softball fans may be a little familiar with that James program. Madison. Yeah. Odyssey Alexander and that bunch from a couple of years ago. Maddie McIntyre's headed to Appalachian State, and pitcher Sophia Waters is going to King. So, I mean, and again, those were all juniors, which means they'll all be seniors next year. So that 40 game streak that you guys are taking into next year may just kind of be a building block.
Yeah, we hope it is. There's like those kids you mentioned are huge pieces for us, and there's quite a few other kids too in that class. We had one junior that will be a senior next year commit to TSU 2 days ago. So that's one more, and then we have a couple more that we think can kind of hit a stride this summer and find their home in their next journey. But they've been a huge building block for us since our first day. And we knew that they were going to play a huge role for us. And it's kind of been on them. Can they take us where we need to go? And they've taken that with the chip on their shoulder. And they've really been able to take it in stride. And they haven't been scared of it. They haven't been scared to be leaders. They haven't been scared to fail. They really haven't been scared to be successful. So just having those kids kind of anchor us down and lead us in the culture-wise how we want them to, and show those younger kids what it looks like to play for us has been huge. And it's going to be hard to replace them. We know that, but we think that the culture that they're building, that we can keep it going even after they are gone.
Behind those rising seniors, Coach, you've got a freshman, the young lady who hit the game-winning home run against Daniel Boone, Avery Stockwell. 18 home runs, 58 ribs, a 407 batting average to finish the year. And I've known Tommy Bryan for almost 40 years. He says that Avery Stockwell may be the best softball hitter he's ever seen. So I don't take that lightly.
She's incredible. She's really good at what she does. She's really strong. She's really powerful. And she has a really big voice for us on the field, which is what you don't see a lot in a freshman. She's not scared to speak up. She's not scared to be the kind of glue that pulls the team together. So to see her kind of take those leaps that she took her freshman year, it's crazy to think about what she can do as she gets older and she gets even better. Just comparing like the hitters that I pitched to in college, she is everything that I saw. And that was some really elite hitting, and she's right up there with the best, and she knows it. And she's also humble, and she's a great teammate. And so I think that's really what's going to make her excel forward, is she's not happy with where she's at now, but she is, she knows how far she can make it, and she's not scared to work for it. She'll work her butt off. She is in the cages 24/7. And so the sky really is the limit for her, and it's going to be a fun ride for her, and she's earned it and she's deserved it. And we're just really glad we get to be a small part of it.
So going into that last at bat, she was 0 for 3 on the day, and a freshman with an opportunity to win it, and comes up in the biggest way. You can't coach that. I mean, that mentality.
I think, and that's what, like, a lot of people see the hit and they see, well, she got the walk-off home run, but they didn't see the competitive at-bats she had before she got that hit. And I think she got down 0-2 and came back and rallied back to either a 2-2 or a 3-2 count on that at-bat. So, and she never looked anxious. She never looked uptight. She was confident in her ability, and she really has this calm presence when she steps in the box, and she knows she's going to do damage. And really everybody on our team knows she's going to do damage, and I think other teams know she is too. So it's hard to pitch to her. I wouldn't want to pitch to her, but when you have that mindset, when you get in the box, that it doesn't matter what you've done earlier, I'm going to do it now. It's hard, and it's hard to compete against, and it's great to have on your side.
No doubt.
Savannah Sanders, the third-year softball coach at Green Hill High School, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe over in Chapel Hill. Coach, you mentioned your career. You pitched collegiately at Iowa State after playing at Mount Juliet. Now, I wonder what those Mount Juliet Green Hill games are like, but more than that, I wonder, you not being any more removed from your collegiate playing career than you are, how does that affect your coaching approach with these young ladies? I mean, you are still obviously swagging, but I mean,
I'm still close in age with them, so I think
does that bring a relatability to them that helps in what y'all are doing?
I think it does a little bit. I've kind of talked about my journey a little bit, but when I was in college, I played for 3 different staffs in 4 years. So I saw a lot and I had a lot of turnover with where I was at. And that was kind of before the transfer portal era where like I was just there and I was going through the ringer of getting different coaches every year. And so I kind of saw what I wanted to be in a coach, and I didn't really know. I always knew I wanted to be around softball, but I didn't know what level I wanted to coach at. And that kind of set my ways for me. I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and it was something I was passionate about. But when they hired me at Green Hill, I was 22. So I was really close to these kids' age. So I knew coming into it, I had to set that line of I'm close to
Luckily,
your
they were all
age.
freshmen.
Yeah. Yeah. We had 2 seniors that year. So I was 4 years older than they were. So, I mean, that's kind of a hard thing to do when you're that young and you're coming in. You have to set that boundary and know, like, hey, we are in close in age, but I am your coach. And there's going to be that line of respect. And they did great with it. They still do great with it. But I think that age can be taken 2 things. It can be taken negative or it can be taken positive. And we've tried to move it in a positive way where, hey, we're young. My assistants are young. We're all young, but we're in this and we know where you're at. And we're trying to put ourselves in your situations and help them get to where they need to be because it is a relatable experience.
I'm really interested in how what the school is like in regards to school pride, because obviously we've seen some young programs here, Summit and
Green Hill girls. We had Joseph Simmons on during the state tournament. Yeah.
Is there, you don't grow up wanting to be a Green Hill Hawk.
Mm-mm.
You can't.
Yeah.
Because
it wasn't there.
It wasn't an option. So how has that been, as far as the sports aspect of the school and the parents rallying around these kids and maybe getting a little school pride?
Yeah, I think that's like we've kind of developed with our youth camps a saying growing up green, because as where we were, everybody was growing up a bear, and obviously we're not doing that anymore. So like when I was growing up, I wanted to go to Mount Juliet. I wanted to play for Mount Juliet. They had a really good softball team. That was what I dreamed of. And so we've kind of tried to grow that game and get like the younger kids out to our games and find ways to get them interested in it to where one day they want to be a Hawk and they want to be a part of what we're doing, and they're interested in the program and what we can offer and what they can develop and grow with it. But I think community wise, it really hasn't been as hard as I was expecting it to be. People dove straight in, and it kind of saw immediate success with every sport. And so boys basketball is really good. Football had a ton of success. Baseball went to sub-state this year. Girls basketball went to state this year. So I think that our area in general is a really unique area where it is a hotbed for athletes, and there's some really special talent in that area, and there's the resources to make that talent become elite. So I think that when people realize what's going on around and they realize how crazy it is that to have success in a school that big and a district as competitive as we are, that it's something they want to be a part of. And it hasn't been hard to get those people out to our games. I know that when I was in high school, we were lucky to have our full parents and friends there. And now we have people in the community that we don't even necessarily have ties to, but they're welcome to come, and they do. And so I think that the support at Green Hill it's top notch, and it's almost, it feels like a college environment a little bit with that support. It doesn't feel like small town athletics to me. It feels more like, hey, this is a really good school. This is a really good program. This is a really good environment to be in. And everyone is interested in wanting to come out and be a part of it. But it's unique. And for it to be in 3 years and to have the following that we've had, it's been surreal.
Coach, I think as I consider everything that has happened for you guys this year, it's a little unfortunate just the timing of, winning a spring sports state championship, because you don't get to go back and really be celebrated in the halls and everything. School lets out either before spring fling or during spring fling. So, I mean, it's you don't get the pats on the back for your accomplishments and that kind of thing. What has the post-state championship reception been like for you all?
I think we got to enjoy it quite a bit and just actually enjoy the experience of it, because we had that support behind us and we were able to kind of dive into that moment and be present. And that was one of my biggest worries, was can we enjoy this moment that we're in? Because you don't know if it comes again. And I think that the parents helped us do that. This admin helped us do that. The faculty helped us do that. And now that when we came back, it is summer break and we had tryouts the next week. So it was a quick turnaround, and we're still trying to navigate the waters of, we haven't had our banquet yet. We haven't had that type of thing. So we're celebrating these kids and what they've done, and knowing that we still have some future ahead of us, and hopefully a lot of softball left to play next year too. And I think that these kids are unique because they aren't looking for necessarily that pat on the back. They've earned it, but it's not something that they are, hey, I didn't get my pat on the back because of the summer break. And I think that that's what made them so good this year, is they knew they were good and they didn't need anybody to tell them they were. They knew where they were at and they were confident in their ability, and they would just took what they could do in stride. And so I think that they probably deserve more than what they got just with the summer break being there. But I know that when we show back up in August, there'll be people there cheering them on and congratulating them for what they did even a few months later.
Has the date been set for that ring presentation yet?
It's going to be in the fall, but we're still working on kind of mocking it up. And I told him I'm going to get them the biggest one we can get. So
she's got a really big team.
Yeah, they're going to need really big rings for sure. Yeah. Savannah Sanders here on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe out in Chapel Hill. Coach, before we let you go, I know you were on, and your patience is well noted, and we appreciate you being patient with us. But would it have been cool to play in Mexico?
I was listening to all that. The Big 12, I don't know. I would love being a part of it, but with all this expansion and everything that's going on, it's a big question on what it's going to look like. I would have loved to play in Mexico, but we didn't. And so,
especially early in the year when you can't play in Iowa.
I guarantee it would be warmer at any point in Mexico City than it would be in Ames, Iowa. What's it like playing your home games in softball?
Well, that's what everybody asked me why I went to Iowa, and I went to Iowa because I knew I was going to get to travel everywhere. So I knew my sophomore year we played, I think it was my sophomore into my junior year, we played, I think it was 57 games in a row on the road. So we did not play in Iowa. There was nothing to do in Iowa, but I got to see some really unique places and I got to experience some really cool things. And so it's kind of something we're looking to do at Green Hill, not Mexico, obviously, but we're looking to kind of travel and give them those small experiences too.
You're kind of going to have to, because who's going to play you now?
Right.
Oh yeah, we kind of ran into that a little bit last year, but we're ready to play whoever wants to play.
Have you started working on?
So we're in the new district. So we're with Beach and Hendersonville and Gallatin and Mount Juliet. So we have our coaches meeting in September, and I'll probably schedule some games before then and kind of get out and see where we're going to play. I think we're going to try to do a couple out of town trips. So we'll see how that goes.
Philadelphia, Mississippi would be a good place to start. I'm just saying. Hey, Neshoba's no joke. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna put the streak on the line, let's put it on the line. Let's go somewhere who had a 53 game winning streak most recently.
I think that's what was so interesting about our first year, because we were able to opt down and play in a lower division, but I knew we were going to be in 4A. So we went ahead and went up. And I think in our first 2 years, we played over 25 state tournament teams. So we were out there playing the best of the best, even when we weren't very good. So we're still going to try to do the same thing next year. And we want to play the best that's out there, whether it's in Tennessee, Alabama, wherever it's at, we're going to play them.
Coach, that's what we like to hear. We hope that you can get some of those teams to come up here as well, because we we love good softball anytime we can find it, and you guys play it. So we appreciate you taking some time with us today. Congratulations again. We look forward to seeing what those rings look like.
Thanks for having me out. We really appreciate your coverage all year.
Thanks, Coach.
That is Savannah Swaggin Sanders. On the Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart.
The bar has been raised.
Yeah, it's not just raised. I mean, it's set.
That's going to be a tough one.
It will be difficult. People will have to change their.
Now we did have Crush Boy 31 on last week.
Yeah, but if you don't know who that is, at least she's got her name in there somewhere.
Right.
So Crush Boy is cool, but when you get alliteration and your name, I'm in. I'm in. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll talk Braves and other Major League Baseball news, because there was a really cool event that happened yesterday, and I'm going to give a kid his props. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joints, back to the Lee Company studio after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Vroom, vroom, time for the Rackley Roofing 200, and it is going to be June 23rd out at the Nashville Super Speedway. And we partnered up, all of us here at Main Street Media TV, and we have joined with Rackley Roofing to send you. Yep, what you got to do to win, all you got to do is go to your favorite Main Street Media website, look for the Enter to Win banner, click there, and you're in. Like Flynn. Isn't that cool? Main Street Media TV and Rackley Roofing sending you to the races.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound. The sound of NASCAR. The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Super Speedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to get your tickets today for the triple header weekend.
June 8th, 1961, the Milwaukee Braves became the first Major League team to homer in 4 consecutive at-bats when Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron, Joe Adcock, and Frank Thomas did so in the 7th inning against Cincinnati starter Jim Maloney and reliever Marshall Bridges. Since then, 8 other teams have accomplished the feat on 10 occasions. The Matthews 2-run shot and following 3 solos were among 6 on the day for the Braves, including an earlier one by Matthews and one by Milwaukee starter Warren Spahn. But the host Red still prevailed.
Baby.
Yeah, pitchers who rake. Hashtag. Yep, chicks dig a long ball. Even in 1961. But the host Reds still prevailed 10-8.
Jeez.
6 home runs in a loss.
That's like the Horner 4 home run game and they lost.
That was this day in Braves history.
That's brutal.
And we hope it doesn't repeat itself tonight.
God.
6 home runs and a loss.
That's insane.
Of course, when at least 3 of them were solos.
Well, yeah. Now, was that Frank Thomas, the Alabama football coach, or the future White Sox?
C, neither of the above.
Oh, okay. I was making sure.
It was not Frank Thomas, the only SEC player who is in the Baseball Hall of Fame either.
That's great. That's still the wildest stat I've ever heard.
I mean, when you think about it, because somebody pointed out to me later on that only, what was the number? There are 57. I don't remember exactly what the number was. 57 college players in the Hall of Fame, maybe.
That's not a lot.
I'm a little sketchy on that, so don't hold me to it. But
I mean, it really makes sense though, because before 1960s, 70s, around the 70s is when college baseball really actually started to kind of become a thing.
Right.
That's interesting.
So yeah.
Wow. Would have never guessed.
Yeah, exactly. The first time I saw that, I guess it was during the SEC tournament when we were at Spring Fling and we were up, and I was up and you were asleep, snoring, by the way. But anyway,
of course.
The broadcast crew said that, and I tweeted it out in disbelief, and sure enough, I mean, I wasn't questioning it. It was just a, what? Did he just say that? Yeah. So anyway, it sounds bizarre.
It really does. And I guess one of the reasons that there's not a second one particularly is the steroid issue with Palmeiro.
Probably.
Palmeiro deserves to be in. But I understand. I mean,
that clip of him in Congress wagging his fingers at folks probably didn't help his optics a whole lot.
It's because of who votes, and we get it.
You know, Todd Helton.
Yeah,
he's in the discussion. I think. You know, we'll see.
Todd Helton will be eventually
at some point. Yeah, you would think.
And that is, man, that's wild.
Yep.
Huh. That is a wild stat. But talk a little bit about the Braves, and before we go too far into the Braves, we would just like to say to our Braves faithful watchers and listeners,
you're welcome.
You're welcome. Yep. And here's why. I think it's about time. It's time to start talking about Michael Harris II and how awful he is at the plate and how he can't hit at all and he's terrible and all of the things.
In the game, they got him on the board. So.
Oh no, I uploaded the wrong video yesterday. That's what happened.
Oh,
hold on. I think it's about time. There we go. It's time to start talking about Michael Harris II and how awful he is at the plate and how he can't hit at all and he's terrible and all of the things that need to be said.
And funny and all that other stuff.
All the things that need to be said.
Whatever it takes to get him going. Yeah.
Because only Brave last night without a hit. I think it's about time. There you go.
Well, you're welcome.
That's all I'm saying.
Because what was he? 3 for 4?
3 for 4
with a bunt single, which I've been wanting him to do that for about 2 weeks. Bunt single, RBI double, and a 2-run jack.
The game winning 2-run jack.
And that ball was crushed.
I mean, so yeah, Michael Harris II, and not just that, but a run saving play in the 8th inning at the wall.
After that awful right fielder saved at least 2 runs with that catch at the wall as well.
Maybe. I don't know. He plays the ball really well off the wall. I think only one scores. Additionally, the guy from first wasn't scoring on Ronnie's arm.
The guy from second would have.
Yeah, but he only saved one run because the guy from third scored. So, but still, I mean, huge day for one, Braves outfielders in the outfield, and two, Michael Harris.
3 for 4 with a pair of runs, 3 ribs.
You cannot understate how important he was last night. And look, a guy who, like we just said about, Avery Stockwell, has struggled, has been, really, really.
He needed that.
But here's the thing. Did he need that? Because it sounded like he'd never given up his confidence, which I think was a massive part of why he was able to have the night he had.
I think you can be confident and still be, feel the weight.
Oh, yeah. But, man, the way the dugout acted after the home run, the way they treated him in the locker room.
Well, I think it just tells you a lot about who he is.
He's going to loosen up at this point. He was tight. He was trying.
There's no way he couldn't be.
What a perfect
And the thing
bunt,
is,
by the way.
I'm telling you,
perfect.
Left-handed with speed. I had one of those in my house for a while. Obviously not to that degree, but that's got to be in your toolbox.
Well,
gotta be.
He pulled it out last night, and then right under that was the hammer when he used that to take the 2-run shot. And the double.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see him pull a ball with some authority. So, maybe this will be what gets him started. I hope so.
I just hope that the home run doesn't make him start swinging the hammer.
I don't think so. I think he's still going to be focused on
just get it in play.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes out, it goes out. That's what you got to do, especially when you're in a slump like this.
Just put it in play. And
See
for
ball,
him,
hit ball.
just getting on base. Again, I'd love to see him bunt more. And you saw what happened. He wound up on second.
Yeah, with the overthrow.
with his pressure, with his speed. It just puts pressure.
Make them make a play.
Make them make plays.
And I know they're pros. I know this ain't little league.
You still got to make plays.
But you still got to make it.
They didn't last night.
So there you go. Charlie Morton, you said he was going to have a bad inning. He really did not have a great outing.
It was kind of a death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing.
And
there was no big inning, but there was still a lot of damage.
He just struggled. And here's the thing. The second home run, or I'm sorry, maybe the first home run by Tommy Pham was a good pitch.
Tommy Pham, who shouldn't have been in the lineup to
Who
start
shouldn't
with.
have been in the game, hit 2 home runs. But it was a good pitch. Obviously it was 3-1, but he hit a spot on the inside corner. Half the ball was off the plate, and Pham turned on it and hit it out. That's going to happen. But it's going to happen more often.
And Tommy
when you're
Pham,
struggling.
Tommy Pham isn't chopped liver.
No.
He's a pretty good ball player.
He is.
But Charlie Morton, 4 2/3, 4 runs on 4 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts.
A lot of force.
Yeah.
Surprised it wasn't just 4 strikeouts at that point.
Oh, and Chris, me and you go ahead and talk about Kirby Yates.
Listen, it was clearly because we talked good about him yesterday.
No, you talk good about him.
Either way, that's clearly what the problem was.
Well, stop it.
So
don't do it anymore.
Kirby, you're back on. You're back in the doghouse.
He never left mine.
All I'm saying is, he's been good lately. Until last night. Speaking of though, who was great?
Nick Anderson.
Did Nick pitch? Nick
got
pitch?
the win.
Okay. AJ Minter. In the 9th. Give it up for the guy who has found himself and talk about somebody who needed to find himself over the last few months or few weeks. AJ needed to do that, and to get the save in the 9th inning in a high leverage situation.
Yeah,
that just shows me that he's ready to go back to the 8th inning full time and be the setup guy.
And I guess they just didn't want to throw Iggy.
He'd thrown 3 out of the last 4.
3 of the and 2 in a row, I guess.
Yeah. So I get it. I mean, but Anderson, Minter, Iglesias, long term is scary.
You could do worse. We have done worse
this year.
Yeah.
So I'm here for it. And by the way, Michael Tonkin has been recalled. His rehab stint lasted about 15 hours. So there's that. So Roderick Munoz has been sent back down. So anyway, Braves looking for the sweep, got the series win. Always good when you can do that over the Metropolitans.
Absolutely.
So, looking for that sweep tonight. 6:20, did we say?
You had something else to mention?
Spencer Strider on the bump. Yes.
Against Verlander, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, well.
At this point, I don't even care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before we get out of here, want to give a shout-out to the kid who caught Ellie De La Cruz's first career home run, because we've had this conversation about what would you want, what would you have to get in order to give up a ball like that, and instead of taking it all for himself,
he included his boys.
He had his boys with him. At least what was about eight of them.
It was a pretty good bunch in that picture. Yeah,
he got himself a signed bat, a signed ball, and then all of his buddies got a signed ball and pictures. Yeah, the pictures of what was cool. I mean, they look like those Bad News Bears photos, team photos. Man.
I wonder if that was like a high school team or something. I don't know, because it was a bunch of kids. Yeah, that was cool.
Really cool to see that happen last night, and so shout out to that kid for including his buddies in that, and not going crazy. The thing that I thought was most impressive about that is while they are negotiating with this kid, he's standing on the back fence. He caught the ball in the last possible row to catch it, 458 feet
out of
the
Great American Small Park.
They were lucky to even get the ball.
Well, that kid, I guess he quoted Snoop Dogg. Ain't no fun if the homie can't have none.
Ain't no fun. And also had a triple yesterday to De La Cruz. So
did you see that?
Yeah. And absolutely, I mean, dude was around the bases in 7 seconds. So kid's going to be special.
Apparently.
And I know Reds fans are happy to see him. They got the series win over the Dodgers. They'll take it twice in walk-off fashion. Of course, they got drilled today, but they'll take the series.
Is that one over?
Yeah, it's 6-0 was the final.
Okay.
Let's take a break. Caleb JARREAU is standing by, and we'll talk to him about the Tennessee Volunteers as they head down to Hattiesburg, and we'll do that right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be back to the Lee Company studio in just a moment. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org, or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Welcome back to Today's Better Health. I'm Colleen Barton, and I'm here with Dr. Gil Kentoff and Dr. Wendy Toohey, and we're talking about the latest treatments in back and neck pain.
Many people, Colleen, come to see us with neck and back pain, and they develop tingling and numbness down the arm or lower back pain that develops into sciatica shooting down their leg. And for these patients, we have an advanced treatment technology, non-surgical decompression therapy that we really introduce to this area. It separates the vertebrae and creates a suction to allow fluids and nutrients back in to heal the disc naturally, relieving pressure on the nerve and on the joint. It's an amazing treatment.
We've been helping patients like this for the last 30 years, helping them get back to work, get back to their family, get back to the life they want to live.
I mean, it really is amazing. Technology helping us to live pain-free and better lives.
Right.
And I bet you have a special offer.
The first 25 callers will receive an examination, x-rays, review of our findings, and their first treatment, all for $39.
Call 615-551-3897 today to receive this special offer.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here on this Thursday. Glad to have you guys with us as we are getting ready to talk about the NCAA Baseball Super Regionals. One Super Regional in particular, and that is Tennessee and Southern Miss. The Golden Eagles hosting Vol Baseball. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be one of my favorite regionals of the weekend. And to talk about it with us, we have Daily Beacon sports editor, which he's obtained that title since the last time we spoke with him. So congratulations to Caleb Jarreau for that.
Sophomore Caleb Jarreau, right?
We hope. Did
yes, sir.
You got enough credits to be a sophomore? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen,
I mean,
we know how it can be.
We do know how it goes, and it's not a given. So, but I mean, sophomore sports editor. I mean that's not typically the way that works, is it?
Well, I guess it's working that way now.
I guess it is. Yeah,
you'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
we're staying busy.
I bet you are. Congrats again. Are you going to Hattiesburg?
I will not be. I'll be staying in Knoxville. Actually, just probably after y'all started the show, Hattiesburg came out and said that only one media personnel from each outlet would be allowed to sit in the press box. So if you're not that one person, you have to sit in the weight room. Yeah, they just came out with that. And then I was also informed that we probably wouldn't have gotten a seat if we wanted to go. So,
good Lord.
See,
so much for the merits.
This is why Tennessee fans are upset.
No. You're not going to sell me on that. I don't think Tennessee fans are upset about the lack of media access. I think they're upset about a lot, but I don't think Tennessee fans care one way or the other, given the way they treat media on a regular basis on Twitter.
They're upset with how Hattiesburg has handled this.
They're upset that it's in Hattiesburg.
Yes, but you're talking about 100 public tickets, not selling tickets to Tennessee fans at all. This is the kind of stuff they're upset about.
Yeah,
Tennessee would not do this to Hattiesburg media. Now, granted,
and Tennessee fans would not care if they did either.
Hattiesburg media probably consists of 4 outlets. It's not like how many folks cover Tennessee baseball, Caleb? When you're in the press box,
I'd say a good 7 or 8.
7 or 8,
probably.
Yeah.
At each game, I don't know if there's 7 or 8 outlets, but there's at least 7 or 8 people there.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a little difference, but anyway.
At any rate, yeah,
that's unfortunate.
It's probably you don't have to make that drive.
Nope.
You don't have the access either, but still, I mean, I'm sure you would have made the drive if other things had been, more advantageous. But you'll have the best seat in your house, I guess, for the games. So.
Yeah, I'll probably be more comfortable than the guys in the baseball weight room.
Yeah. What are your thoughts heading into this Saturday, Sunday, Monday series?
Yeah, I think for Tennessee, the biggest game of the series will be that first one whenever Southern Miss goes with their ace, Tanner Hall, on the mound. If you remember, he was on the mound last year when they defeated LSU in the regionals to go to the Supers and play Ole Miss. So I feel like that's probably the most important game for them. That's a must-win, I would say, because that's really Southern Miss's best shot. That'll be their best swing. So if you take that game from their ace, then you're set up to just win Sunday and you're done. I feel like realistically in a lot of these super regionals, the team that takes home that first game ends up winning the second day anyway. So I feel like I would put the emphasis on that Saturday game the most.
Now I guess the counter to that, Caleb, lies in Tennessee's pitching depth. I mean, if there is a team that could regroup from that first loss to the other team's ace based on what they've got, it feels like it would be Tennessee just based on the arms that you saw this past weekend at Clemson.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think there's another team in college baseball that has a Chase Burns sitting in the bullpen that can go for 110-ish pitches out of the bullpen. So another thing that'll play into this series, Hattiesburg does have a turf field, but you're still in southern Mississippi in the summertime with rain and thunder showers. I mean, we saw it just in the regionals. So I feel like if there is ever a lightning delay, then the advantage will automatically swing to Tennessee because Southern Miss doesn't have the pitching depth to deal with if their starter can only go 3 innings because you're in an hour-and-a-half lightning delay after the 4th or something like that. So I feel like with any weather that happens, you'll see Tennessee flash that pitching depth again, obviously like we saw at Clemson, any extra inning games. But like I said, I mean, you got Chase Burns in the pen you can bring out. You've probably got 4 or 5 guys who can start. You still have Seth Halverson sitting in the bullpen. I mean, there's so many guys you can throw at Southern Miss that different looks that they probably have not seen all year.
Who is UT? Has UT announced their starter for Saturday yet?
No, but if I had to take a gamble, I would say they're probably not going to switch anything up. You don't want to fix something that isn't broke. So I'd assume we'd see Andrew Lindsay on Saturday night.
Former post-19 pitcher Andrew Lindsay, by the way. So besides Tanner Hall, Caleb, what do you think this series swings on?
Well, and then you get into the bats, really. I mean, Southern Mississippi is one of those teams that flashes the offense a lot in that baseball field. And they also are a team that's built of a lot of, I guess, not sort of your big bat guys, but your guys who will string out those 7, 8, 9 pitch at bats. I mean, you saw that against Auburn. You'd think that they would have some of Southern Miss's hitters out 4 or 5 pitches in, and then next thing you know, it's a 12 pitch at bat, and the guy hits a base hit up the middle. So I think we'll see that a lot from Southern Miss. They're a scrappy team that thinks they deserve the host. And honestly, when you're looking at Southern Miss, they probably have the biggest thing to play for, and that their coach of several years who has led Southern Miss to Omaha 2 or 3 times, I think, that's been there forever, is retiring after this season. So they have, I guess, the moral crusade to want to win the Super Regional. Then you have Tennessee coming in with that chip on their shoulder that they probably want to be playing in Lindsey Nelson. So there's a lot of storylines going on around this series, but I really think the bottom line just comes to Tennessee needs to hit the ball and they need to get Tanner Hall out of the game before the 6th inning.
How much did this past weekend go to eliminating that Tennessee can't win on the road? How far is that argument now? Because they did beat Clemson, but it took them 14 innings to do it.
Yeah, and I wonder, some will argue that argument is overblown because you look at like their series at LSU, those were close losses. They went to Missouri and got swept. That's not a very good look. But every other loss, like the Georgia series, if one more ball falls, like then they take that series on the road. So there's games like that make you wonder, while the record doesn't look good, if you actually look at the games and the whole body of work, it's not as bad as you would think. I still worry about this team on the road, especially in a postseason environment, because no matter what Tennessee fans want to say about Southern Mississippi Stadium, they had Ole Miss down there, and they ran LSU out of the regional, and then they had Ole Miss in the supers, and it was they didn't beat Ole Miss, but it was still a very, very, very rowdy environment. So
5,400
I think
strong.
Hey, apparently it's 1,000 more than Lindsey Nelson.
And apparently 4,800 of them will be Southern Miss fans because Tennessee only gets 600 tickets and however many they can get of the 100 public sold. So there you go. But yeah,
I think it'll be a rowdy one for sure. I'm curious to see. I don't think it'll be anything Tennessee hasn't seen before, but we saw in the regional, Southern Miss's regional, when they were playing Sanford, their hits, they don't get like a run in the first, a run in the second. Their hits come in bunches. So I wonder what happens when that crowd gets behind them and they start stringing together a couple hits, how Tennessee responds.
Well, the easy way is just to not let them string a few hits together. That's how you combat that, Mo.
Yeah. Caleb Jarreau. Sorry. Jarreau. Yeah. The sports editor at the University of Tennessee Daily Beacon joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. That 14-inning win at Clemson on Saturday night aside, what were you most impressed with this past weekend out of Tennessee, Caleb?
The defense. I mean, they didn't make a single – I was most surprised that they played 14 innings of baseball without a single error after the season we saw them had, where you see they weren't like big mistakes, I'd say, but it was just every once in a while you'd see a guy who can make the routine play and probably a lot more than the routine play, but he'd boot a ground ball or throw it away or just mental errors on the base paths. But we saw Tennessee in that 14-inning game and in the regional as a whole just play a lot of clean baseball. And whenever you have arms on the mound like Andrew Lindsey or Chase Dolander or Drew Beam, like if you play good defense behind them, you are set to win the game, basically. I mean, you could probably score 1 or 2 and defeat a lot of the teams. So I was very pleased with the defense they played, especially when you look at some of the plays Maui Ahuna had and just the middle infield as a whole. Because, I mean, they worked a bases loaded, no out situation and kept the game rolling, and there were no defensive miscues. So I feel like if the defense rolls into Southern Miss, which has been a very big question, I feel like the bats will be there.
I can't disagree. I mean, this is a team who has certainly not had the offensive prowess that it did last year, but has the ability to be as good, if not better, than last year's team offensively. So it's just a matter of if the bats show up. Now, even if they don't, we did talk about the pitching depth and that sort of thing. Not having to play all the way to Monday night, only having to play 3 games. You've got some guys rested, obviously coming off of a 1-game SEC tournament. How important is that going into this series? They not only do they have depth, but all of their guys are rested too.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that, and Griffin Merritt kind of talked about it today, when they got that one and done in Hoover, that wasn't something they necessarily obviously wanted to happen, but they got a whole week mainly to mentally reset from the tough season. I mean, it didn't go their way. There was adversity just about in every series they played. But that week off allowed them to mentally reset and then attack the regional. And now they took the regional in the minimum amount of games, which is even more time to mentally rest and reset physically. And I feel like you really saw that mental reset and that they had the mental endurance, I guess you would say. After that 14-inning game, Clemson turned around and lost to Charlotte, but Tennessee just kept rolling after the 14 innings like it didn't happen. So this team, I feel like, is mentally conditioned, physically conditioned. They're going to be rested. The NCAA did make it a Saturday, Sunday, Monday series, so Southern Miss won't have to pitch anybody on short rest necessarily, but Tennessee will be the well-rested team. And they ended up saving bullpen arms that are just as capable to pitch because Chase Burns ate up 100 pitches on Saturday and they didn't have to empty the pen.
You know, you made the comment, Chris, earlier this week when we were talking about UT's regional. Kirby Connell, 1 pitch in 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy who can – he started some midweek games last year. I mean, so you know he can give you multiple innings if necessary. This is a guy who's and is good enough to be a starter just about anywhere.
And he's a guy that you're probably going to see at some point this weekend come up big just for the fact that you didn't see him this past weekend.
Think so. Caleb, I hate you're not going to be in Hattiesburg, man, but should be one of the more fun regionals. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to your coverage from your couch. I always enjoy your tweets because I guess one of the good things about Caleb's tweets is he doesn't get nearly the hate that many of the other media guys get. So you can handle Caleb's timeline for a little while.
Right. Hey, Caleb, let me ask you this. Besides Tennessee Southern Miss, what other super regional are you most fascinated by, I guess?
Well, a couple kind of off the top of my head. Indiana State has to travel to TCU because they can't host their super regional due to the Special Olympics up there. So TCU is welcoming a very dangerous mid-major team to their park, and we know TCU is traditionally good at baseball. And then just looking at the SEC, Kentucky has to go down to Baton Rouge, so that'll be an LSU, Kentucky SEC Super Regional. And in the regular season, LSU took the series, but Kentucky threw off on that Friday night and just took the loss with Paul Skeens, and then played them very, very close on on game 2 and 3. But some weather and other stuff happened, and LSU ended up hitting their way out of that Super Regional. So we've seen LSU's pitching be off and on. So I feel like that would be a massive upset for what a lot of people call, the projected national champion. So I'm interested to see that. And back to your point about rest, Vanderbilt, and we talk about it every year, Ole Miss got bounced day 1 of the SEC tournament, won the championship. Vanderbilt won the SEC tournament and then lost their regional in very funny fashion, I guess would be the best way to put it. They come back from a rain delay and it takes 4 minutes for them to go 3 up, 3 down, and the game ends. So that's right down the road from y'all, I assume. But talking about rest, I feel like eventually, I don't know if we'll even see teams try anymore in Hoover that don't need to.
I told you. Why would you want to win a game there? It's like, God.
I mean, yeah, you win that, cool, you get an SEC championship, but now they have to sit at home. Like, you definitely, and that was a team that could compete for the national championship. They were deep on the mound, deep lineup. Like, that was a good ball club that just got upset in the regional. And I guess the only way to put it would be they're tired from playing God knows how many games in Hoover.
Well, and their regional was stacked. We talked with Kevin Ingram about that last week, and all 3 of the other teams in their region had won their conference tournaments, and it was a stacked region, and Vanderbilt kind of got the short end of the stick on that a little bit, but again, you were at home. Got to win that thing. I'll be interested to see how the turf plays because you mentioned it. It's Southern Mississippi. By the way, it's the first week or second week of June now. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's hot down there. And turf is hotter than grass. So that's gonna be something to pay attention to, just FYI. Watch out.
Also, I assume Tennessee will keep rolling with the black jerseys that they won the regional with. And that will not that'll be hot.
That will be hot. Yeah. Real quick, because we do need to let Caleb go, but Caleb, did you have any thoughts on Kamwa winding up at Michigan? The announcement came out yesterday.
Yeah, Josiah Jordan-James coming back is very surprising as well for Tennessee. I didn't see that happening. Kamwa, I expected would probably leave just because he was a transfer portal guy early, and I know he wants and Rick Barnes said it too, his goal is to play professional basketball. So I assume he thinks maybe the coaching staff at Michigan will help him prepare for the NBA better than Rick Barnes would. I'm not 100% sure. But I am really, really excited for this roster going into this season because you actually have shooters now. We won't have to see Euros in the paint getting crowded because Tennessee can't shoot behind the line. Josiah Jordan-James, if he's healthy, will be a very big pickup for this team. And then you've got Zakai coming back, assuming he'll probably be in a month in the season. Santi's still there. So you have the leadership. You have all the pieces to finally make that jump from the Sweet 16
and some
to the Elite
scores.
Eight.
Yeah, like you said,
Yeah,
you got scores.
which is what they needed. If you held it, they could held teams to 50, 48 points, but then they'd only score 40. So it didn't make a difference.
Doesn't really help you if you.
There you go.
You still got to have
Exactly.
more points at the end of the day, no matter how good your defense is. Caleb, as always, we appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. You too, Caleb.
All right, we'll talk a little high school preps news now, as we like to do on occasion. Take you from preps to pros or from pros to preps. It doesn't matter, whichever way it happens to fall. But first, Mo, some big news out of girls basketball yesterday in D2 as perennial power Webb School, their girls team will be moving up to AA.
The girls.
Girls only.
Girls only, not boys. And had a quick text exchange with Matthew Gillespie of the TSSAA after that action by the Board of Control was announced yesterday. And he's not familiar, I'm not familiar with a boys and girls basketball split like that.
Typically,
because the boys will continue to play Division IIA. The girls are going to play D2AA. So the scheduling's going to be interesting for both of them and for the people that they're playing. But Webb will be playing, with the Brentwood Academies, Ensworths, Father Ryan's, Harpeth Halls, and
well, it's time to it's time to schedule some of those Harpeth Hall Webb doubleheaders. Where your girls play Harpeth and your boys play Webb, I guess.
Yeah. It just kind of it shocked me, basically. Like I said, I've just never seen two different or a basketball program split like that in terms of classifications, and I don't know what all of the logistics are for that. I guess you just treat each of them like they're an
individual team.
Yeah, an individual team. Yeah. So for scheduling purposes, it's going to be a lot of single games, I guess. But this was, I guess, a compromise because it had been a proposal that boarding schools automatically be pushed to D2AA was being talked about. I'm not sure how far along that got, but I think this was a, concession to, okay, if we do this, then maybe that'll cool some things down.
So are they a boarding school? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
I know that they have a lot of foreign players, but
yeah,
you never know necessarily what that entails. But
they are a boarding school.
That's interesting.
There aren't a whole lot of them, though, in the state. I think Baylor, McCallie, and I'm not sure who else.
Well, I think this makes D2AA very interesting next year.
It does.
And
they've won the past handful of D2A girls basketball championships. Their coach, Matt Shoemake, just left here in the last 10 days to take the girls' coaching position at Montverde Academy down in Florida. So
it's like, hey, new coach, guess what?
Have fun with this. Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. And, they had a bunch of Power 5 signees on that team.
Sure.
That, won't be back.
Right.
So it'll be interesting.
Before we get out of here, got about a minute left. Just want to mention that Anthony Law, former Whites Creek football coach, has been hired at the top of the Stratford program. Big get.
Yeah, I think it's a huge get for Stratford. Anthony Law had coached at Whites Creek from 05 to 09, took that team to the semifinals in Class 4A his last year, has been was an assistant at East Nashville a couple of years ago, has not been in coaching the last couple of years, I don't think. So this will be interesting, and it'll be interesting not just at Beach. So
yeah. No doubt.
We'll follow up on that later.
Yeah, we'll get to
get
it.
out.
We'll get to it tomorrow, and hopefully we can have Coach Law on next week from Coach's Corner. Thanks again to Caleb JARREAU and SAVANNAH Swag and Sanders.
Swag and Sanders.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.